Hello, everybody. Welcome in. We have another trade. This time, Brandon Ingram heading up north to join the Toronto Raptors. I'm Trevor Lane. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Make sure everybody you subscribe to the channel. We thought we'd just jump on live for a few minutes here and break down the trade as it's all coming out. And Donnie, the details are exactly what I thought it was going to be. The Indiana first is the one that's going to be headed to the Pelicans. Surprised at the destination, Donnie, that it's Brandon Ingram to the Raptors.
Yeah, that's something we had talked about previously. When we talked about BI in some of our videos, and earlier today, I think it was Mark Stein. He kind of talked about that, and that was something that was starting to gain momentum. Is BI going to Toronto? And I do like the move for him. I'd assume that we're going to see an extension similar to Butler sometime soon, because otherwise, why are you making this trade? But yeah, I do like the move for him. It's not terribly surprising because Toronto needed to do something with Bruce Brown, I'd imagine. So I think he fits their timeline. He's young enough. And if some of the guys that they currently have, like Scotty and some of the other guys they have there, can take that next leap, I think Toronto could be really good really soon. And I think they also have their draft pick this year, right?
They do. They have their own draft pick, and they kind of derailed their tank a little bit. They won a bunch of games, but still, the lottery odds are more flat, and they may be just fine with all of that. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I think this is a deal where you're seeing motivation. This is where motivation to sell is coming into play, and you've got motivation on both sides. You've got the Toronto Raptors. They were motivated to sell on Bruce Brown. They picked up his option for this year specifically to trade him. That's what they were doing. And then on the side of the Pelicans, they didn't want to be the team that was going to pay Brandon Ingram on his next contract. So they were motivated to trade him before he could hit free agency this summer. Not that there's a lot of free agency dollars out there to spend, but still, they didn't want to deal with the messy situation this summer. So New Orleans gets to move on. They get a first-round pick from the Pacers for their troubles, which should be a decent first. We're talking mid-tier first-round pick. It'll be somewhere 15 to 20, probably somewhere in that range. It'll be an okay first. They'll pick up a second-round pick as well. And then they just get an expiring salary. They do have to take on an extra year of Kelly Olynyk, but would think that that would be, no big deal for the Pelicans, especially if they're getting a first in this. And then, the Raptors, they add their guy that they're going to put next to Scotty Barnes. Now, I guess the question becomes, are they going to pay him if you're the Raptors? Are they going to give Brandon Ingram the $50 million he's wanting? Because that would change the value of this deal a lot.
I do wonder if maybe there's something like a 45 4-year extension, something like that they could work out, as opposed to 50 or even 60 million, something crazy like that. I don't know what his actual max number is, but maybe he'll take a cut off the top and maybe they'll reach an agreement there. But if that's not the case, it would be interesting if they did that just to get a bigger, quicker expiring, because Kelly would be expiring next year, but paying a first just to do that is overkill. So I'd imagine they are going to get this extension done with BI, and he'll be part of their core going forward. In terms of the Pelicans, there was a super chat here in relation to them, so I wanted to answer that really quick. Feels like the Pels got fleeced. Considering Brown was overpaid and was injured, does this mean Pelicans will keep the players they traded? I mean, if they like the guys that they get, I mean, sure, they could probably work something out with Bruce and retain him at a lower number going forward, because I don't think there's any way he gets anywhere near that, because he was just explicitly signed there just to have him be a part of a deal like this, to eat up a big salary number. In terms of Kelly, I mean, they technically need front court depth. So maybe they like him, but they've got him on the books for one more year. And next year, or even in the offseason, he turns into an expiring that could potentially have value for them to put into another deal if they were to try to do something there. I think really with them, the interesting piece is, are they going to do something with CJ now that they've moved off of BI, and what things look like for them there?
I think they'll try to. I mean, this is a lost season for the Pelicans anyway. And for the Raptors, look, Brandon Ingram has been out with an ankle injury. There's no rush now for him to come back. Yeah, you don't want to just have him sit out the rest of the season, because you want him to get used to playing with RJ Barrett, to playing with Scotty Barnes, with perhaps Jakob Poeltl, these other guys that are on the roster. And there could be other moves coming for the Raptors, but they're not going to rush him back. They're not in any hurry to win games. All they need to do now, just develop a little bit of chemistry for next season, and that's it. So Brandon Ingram's been out with an ankle injury. he could stay out for a while longer if they want. Let him fully recover, get back to 100%. Again, no rush if you're the Raptors, and no rush with the Pelicans either. These are two teams that are going to be competing for ping pong balls here, but the Raptors get a wing that they think is going to be a long-term fit with them in a wing trio now with RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, and Scotty Barnes, and we'll see how they build around those guys. Clearly, the Raptors looking to take a big step, though, next year as they add now Brandon Ingram to their mix.
Yeah, I actually do really like the outlook for the team going forward. They've got some fun guys there, including like, my guy Emmanuel Quickly and your guy Grady. they got in all seriousness, they got Pirtle there. Maybe they'll do something with Boucher before the deadline as well. So they've got a fun looking team here for the next couple of years. And for this year currently, and I'd like to see the way that they retool again with the draft pick, maybe in the offseason, and then adding BI to their system. I think they could be really good and fun as soon as next year, ironically, because I thought they would be better than they are right now, but things just didn't really work out for them in the earlier portion of the season. And I guess you could say both of these teams are in a similar spot, because the Pelicans, I'd imagine, would be better next year than they are right now. But I'm a little bit more interested in, I know that the Raptors won this by getting BI, of course, but I'm a little interested in what the Pelicans do going forward.
So the Pels going forward, yeah, they did. We'll see what they do with that draft pick. They have Zion. They're building around Herb Jones, Trey Murphy III, DeJounte Murray. We'll see. I mean, the torn Achilles, that's absolutely brutal. I would imagine he's not back to start next season. CJ McCollum, we'll see where he's at. What's that?
Someone in the chat said the first is top 4 protected.
Yeah, the first, it's a Pacers first, top 4 protected.
I did not know that.
But again, the Pacers are projected. That protections probably won't come into play. Yeah. I mean, if you look at in the standings, we go take a peek. The Pacers have been winning games. Yeah, they're the 4 seed in the East right now. That protection won't matter. It'll be a decently late first round pick, but so it'll convey. The Pelicans will actually get it, and we'll see what they do with the pick this year. Maybe they can package it with somebody and try to go win. But this is just a matter of taking a guy that you were probably going to lose this offseason. Maybe you would sign and trade him, maybe not. But in one way or another, he was not going to be part of your future, and you turn him into some draft capital, an expiring contract in Bruce Brown. If the Pelicans really wanted to, they could flip Bruce Brown before the trade deadline as a $23 million expiring contract. I doubt that they do, but they could. Potentially, they could open this up to a 3-team deal or something like that. Kelly Olynyk, another year under contract, but then he'll be a $12 million expiring for next season. So I think now the Pelicans, they move forward without BI. They take the assets that they got. They got to be a little bit disappointed that this is the way. I mean, BI was the big piece they got in the Anthony Davis trade. He was the primary piece. They got Lonzo Ball, they got Josh Hart, they got some draft capital, but this was the piece, and really the only piece left, because they traded off the Lakers pick this year. Josh Hart is gone, Lonzo Ball is gone, Jackson Hayes is gone, Dyson Daniels is gone, and so this is the piece that they have left from the Anthony Davis trade, and now he's gone as well.
Just feels like utter asset mismanagement there. I don't really know how this all went that way. And the Lakers won it at the time. They won it immediately after they won a championship, and they really won it because that turned into Luka now. So I have no clue. Just terrible, terrible asset management from the Pelicans with that. But who knows with them going forward.
Yeah. I mean, look, Trey Murphy is great. They found Herb Jones. He's great. They've got some real young talent on this team, but with DeJounte Murray's future now in question, they're going to have to, I think, be very flexible this summer, and we'll see which direction they go. And then, do they finally make a tough decision this summer on Zion Williamson?
On Zion,
do they move on and truly turn? This is one piece. Do they truly turn the page and move Zion this summer as well? I don't think we're seeing a Zion trade before tomorrow, but you know what, Donnie? This just may be the best trade deadline ever. So I'm not, going to say there's no possibility. There's no way. There's no possibility. You never know with the trade deadline this year. This has been an amazing trade deadline.
We may wake up tomorrow and Zion will be traded for Giannis or something. For all we know.
What do you mean wake up? Who says we're sleeping?
I'm going to sleep. I don't know about you, but I'm going
There
to
is
sleep.
no sleeping during the trade deadline.
I got
We
2
only
toddlers,
wait.
man. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to sleep. I'm happy on that note that the big trades are happening today instead of tomorrow. Or overnight.
I think we may get both. I think we may get some big trades today, and we might get some big trades tomorrow too, because why not? Let's go. But we've already got Jimmy Butler on the move. Golden State Warriors. The Toronto Raptors pick up Brandon Ingram. I don't think that's going to lead to a bunch of wins this season or anything, but clearly Toronto building for the future. They want to make a playoff push next season. The Pelicans, they move on from BI. They get the assets that they can get, and then all eyes on Toronto. If Toronto gives Brandon Ingram a 4-year, $200 million contract, then this trade sucks for them.
Oh man, what do you expect them to give him?
2 years. 2 years 80, 2 years 80, 2 years 90. Let me say that. 2 years 90.
Do you think they're going to look at the Jimmy and be like, okay, can we get you something similar but less? 2 years, 30 each. No, not 30 each, 40 each. It's got to be 40 each.
That's the worst part of the Jimmy Butler trade for the Warriors is they gave him $112 million over 2 years.
Yeah.
But if I'm Brandon Ingram's agent, I'm pointing to that and going, that's what we want. Come on, hand that over.
That's tricky.
If I'm the Raptors, though, I'll tell you this: it's the years more than the dollar amount. Yeah. Don't do the 4-year deal. Do it, make it a shorter deal, and then go from there.
It's kind of the same thing with Jimmy too, though. I didn't want to give Jimmy anything longer.
But Jimmy has the age 38 rule, where he has to do the shorter. Brandon Ingram can push for the longer deal. Too much of an injury history. If I'm the Raptors, I try to cushion myself just in case, and so I do a shorter term deal. If the money is a little bit more than I want, that's okay, as long as it's just 2 years instead of 4 years.
Yeah, that's probably what the makeup is. You give him a little more money than you want. So maybe he is going to be at 50 then, if that's the case. We'll see.
All right, everybody. Well, just so y'all know, anybody who's in here wanting to talk Lakers, over on Lakers Nation, I'm going to start a live show in just a few minutes. I'm out of editor extraordinaire Daniel Starkand, who's at practice today with Luka and the Lakers. He's going to come on. We're going to talk about the trade deadline purely from the Lakers perspective. So that's coming up in about 5 minutes over on the Lakers Nation YouTube channel. But appreciate all of you for being here. The Basketball Bulletin, the growth we've seen here blows us away, warms my heart truly to see everybody over here. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. Donnie, this is going to be a fun I can't wait for tomorrow. And who knows what else tonight is going to bring too.
No, nothing tonight. Tomorrow, sure. I can't wait for tomorrow.
I'll speak it into existence. I'll speak it into existence. All right, everybody. Appreciate all of you. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.